out come the Vision. And this would be the show all about the Vision and the Seth's a wanker chant. So Seth laughs it off, calling them wankers. And the crowd, like, they were kind of like, ha ha ha. They enjoyed this.
Oh, this baby-faced him for sure. Yeah.
Well, Seth, who was, he was dressed as like my grandparents' couch. Like the upholstery was just turned into this like Sherlock Holmes looking jacket here that he had. I mean, it was quite something. He goes through each member of the Vision. He talks about Paul Heyman being the GOAT. He is a blessed man for being in Paul's presence. And Paul kisses him on the cheek. The crowd chants kiss. So Rollins kisses him on the forehead. Braun, he turns his attention to. He tells him, do that tweak. And Braun, who just feels like I'm a goddamn puppet for this man, takes off his glasses and he does the most forced tweak where he just knows that I'm just like the toy at the party to be shown off to. Like, do that thing you do.
This is when he made his decision.
I mean, yeah, there are some times that WWE, they're so obsessed with surprises and things that you never see coming. If you were paying half attention to this show, everything led to this closing angle. It was laid on so thick. The only thing was I was not expecting it to happen when it did. Mm-hmm. And that was the surprise element. But they were going so heavy that it was so clear that the fracture is occurring. So anyway, sorry, you were going to say.
I was going to say, especially if you, if you watch really any of them, but especially Paul Heyman, in like digging for photos for the thumbnail for this, I mean, they got some really great shots of Heyman, just like you could tell in the background, eyeing specifically, not just Rollins, but the championship in particular. And so,
is that WrestleMania? Yeah. Seth Paul
Heyman, Seth Rollins? Yes. Yeah, perhaps. Mm.
He praises Breaker as the future of this industry. And just the look Braun had about the emphasis on future. And then the crowd, they're all singing for Reed, and Rollins praises him for beating Roman. But again, I gave you all the tools to beat Roman Reigns. He says, nobody is on my level. I've never needed anyone, including the members of the Vision. I did it all on my own. I beat Cody with one good arm, and then we had the most expensive pyro display to end a opening promo segment I have ever seen to conclude the first 15 minutes. I mean, really, this was just laying the table for what was to come on the show because very little was said here, but it was all in how it was said and the delivery by Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm. This was meant to be, a victory speech for Seth Rollins after overcoming, like, arguably the biggest obstacle of his I guess recent years of his career in Cody. But it also served as, just a really sort of like ominous foreshadowing of what was to come later on the show. But there was a real sort of like feeling of finality to the group in hearing Rollins, talk about them almost like as if he was saying goodbye here, here it kind of played off more so as an introduction or reintroduction to, the various members of the group. But when we look back on it, it definitely felt like a bit of a goodbye of sorts. I thought Rollins was a lot of fun here, like he was playing off of the crowd, I think, really well. That improvised head kiss on Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. Like if this group was going to last a little bit longer, that would have been, I think, a wonderful little like signature thing that those two could have had together.
Don't you remember when they did that for Heat? When Heyman would come out and kiss Ryback, and they did that for Heat?
I do not remember anything.
Because the audience was like, ew, men kissing? Boo.
I do not remember a thing about that Ryback Paul Heyman run, but thank you for the reminder. But like even in these moments, I feel like there were some elements of just like Seth Rollins like playing to the crowd in a way that made him more likable and fun to watch, whether it be repeating the wanker line or some of the other elements here. I felt like there was an element of like fun interaction that he was having with the crowd that I wonder if it was intentional.
This month on the Post Wrestling Cafe, John and Wai go to the movies with a review of The Smashing Machine starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson based on the documentary around Mark Kerr. Plus, it's Rewind Away covering the 2017 documentary Nobody Speak, Trials of the Free Press. Also coming your way is reviews of Bound for Glory, king of pro wrestling, weekly editions of Collision Course, Post Pro Res with Karen Peterson and WH Park, and the XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, ad-free here at postwrestlingcafe.com. Yeah, so you had several minutes to go still in the broadcast. So the Vision come out, and Braun sprints down the aisle, spearing Jay, and then runs around the ring, spearing LA Knight. So they are dead. They surround CM Punk in the ring, and Breakker and Reed pounce on him. There's a spear by Breakker, a tsunami by Reed, and Rollins tells Punk he will never be champion, and they send him to the floor. And you have all four standing up, and then credits. Paul Levesque, Lee Fitting, and if you were watching this on delay like most people were, you see 4 minutes remaining with these credits up. And Breakker walks over to the corner. His back is turned, and he turns around and spears Seth Rollins. Paul Heyman is stunned. He can't believe what he is seeing. Bronson Reed is no-selling it, and Braun stands up, goes into Reed's face, and tells him, "You've got to make a choice." And Bronson contemplated this for about 6 seconds and pulled Seth Rollins over and landed the tsunami onto Seth. Breakker grabs the belt and looks at Heyman. Heyman doesn't know what to do. And then on the spot, he decides to align with the future. And he raises up Reed and Breakker's arms. And that is how we end with the end of the Vision, as we know it with Seth.
Great angle.
Very strong angle to end the show, and certainly disrupts like a lot of like where you come out of this, because it really like muddies things to get to this Rollins Punk match out of this. And you would think also like throws out like that potential of the Vision together for the War Games match as well.
Yeah. So again, shocking, I think,
if you watch this show, you knew the turn was coming. I didn't think they would be doing it on this show.
You knew the turn was coming the moment this group was formed, right? Eventually. But yeah,
but they laid it on so thick on this show. Like it was like not even knowing that they were doing the turn. Like I had no doubt that that we are getting to the end of this group. It was just a question of when. And I think those are the kinds of surprises that are good. Like you can see something is coming, but you don't know when it's coming. And I thought like it was a really well executed angle. It's just where you go from all of this of Seth being on the outs here and what you have lined up. Like this guy has been the top heel on, like really he's pretty much the top heel in the whole company that you're now doing this turn with.
Yeah. The shocking thing about it is the timing of it, because I felt like there was certainly still a lot of life left in the group. There's still a lot of life left in Seth Rollins as a heel. And so you're left asking a lot of questions about what this means for his status as a heel, what it means for the status of Becky Lynch by association as a heel. She's obviously likely to stick with her husband. Does that mean Becky turns back into a babyface? What does it mean for War Games, With this being so fresh, I also don't think we can entirely write out the idea that like this might have been done due to other factors. We don't know like whether or not he might actually be suffering from any sort of injury that we don't know about. Or could this all be a setup for the other biggest ruse of the century, John?
I hate those angles where it's like you murder a guy and it's a joke. I don't see that being the turn here, because I think it just comes off like really lame at that point to do something like that.
Yeah, I just don't write it out. I don't write out that this could be a legitimate reason for this turn happening at the moment. But no matter what, I do think like Braun Breakker is certainly more than ready to be in this position as being a focal point of a faction. I think Bronson Reed essentially kind of takes a step up to himself. We've already had a bit of an audition.
This weekend was about these two. Like this whole weekend was about these two guys and getting them to the next levels, beating Roman, doing the turn, and like they are advancing. Like you can look like these were pivotal shows for like the Vision storyline, and you definitely have a lot of questions about various directions of where you're going after this. Because I do think in the immediate, like this would take, like if Rollins and Punk was penciled in for Saturday night's main event, like that doesn't feel like the match coming off of an angle like this. It almost feels as though it's like a loose end we've got to tie up now, because the bigger story now is like Rollins with Reed and Breaker.